Hyejin was always busy, always serious. She loved designing buildings, turning ideas into beautiful spaces, but she hated distractions. When Minjun joined her company, she thought he was the biggest distraction of all. Minjun wasn't just another architect. He was charming, confident, and somehow always knew how to get under her skin. From the moment he arrived, their boss paired them together on the most important project, a cultural center in Seoul. They were supposed to work as a team, but it felt more like a battlefield. Minjun teased her about being too strict, and Haejun couldn't stand his relaxed, carefree attitude. She worked late into the night, double-checking every detail, while Minjun seemed to breeze through everything with a confident smile. One evening, after yet another fight about the design, Minjun suggested they go for a walk. "Let's find inspiration," he said with a playful grin. Haejun wanted to say no, but something about the way he looked at her made her hesitate. She reluctantly agreed. As they walked through the quiet streets, something shifted. Minjun pointed out the beauty in simple things: a flickering street lamp, the reflection of neon signs in a puddle, the way an old building stood strong despite its cracks. For the first time, Hyejin saw a softer side of him, a side that truly loved architecture. He wasn't just confident, he was passionate. That walk turned into many. Night after night, they explored the city together. They laughed about silly things they saw, argued over which streets had the best views, and slowly started to open up. Minjun told her about his dream, to design homes that felt like safe havens, inspired by his childhood in a noisy, crowded house. Hyejin shared her secret fear that her perfectionism was keeping her from living a full life. One rainy night, as they stood under the cover of an old bus stop, Minjun gently brushed a raindrop off her cheek. "You know," he said softly, "you're not as scary as you pretend to be." Hyejin laughed, trying to ignore the flutter in her chest. "And you're not as careless as you pretend to be," she replied. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world felt smaller, quieter, just for them. When the Cultural Center project was finally approved, everyone celebrated. Hyejin and Minjun's design was perfect, a blend of their contrasting styles. As their co-workers cheered, Minjun leaned closer to Hyejin and whispered, "We make a pretty good team." But before she could respond, someone popped open a bottle of champagne, pulling them apart. Days passed, and though they worked side by side, something unspoken lingered between them. Finally, one late afternoon, as the sun poured through the office windows, Minjun placed the small sketch on Hyejin's desk. It was of the cultural center, with two figures walking hand in hand in front of it. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice softer than usual. Hyejin smiled, feeling her cheeks warm. "I think it's missing something," she said, before adding, "A date. Maybe this Friday?" Minjun grinned, that familiar sparkle in his eyes. "It's a deal," he said, and just like that, their rivalry melted into something else. A partnership, a romance, a story worth building together.